But I want to talk about one last thing. It's desensitizing our horses. Okay. Because I think this and the spooky object thing end up getting tied in very closely. And I've worked with a lot of horses that have either had no experience with obstacles or any type of desensitizing. And then I've worked with a lot of horses that have a lot of experience with desensitizing. And I will lay this flat out there. When I got started, I was introduced to a style of horsemanship where the desensitization, at least on the surface level and on green humans' understanding of it, was that we need to desensitize our horses, which was give them experiences to all these things. Today, some odd years later, I do not desensitize my horses. Okay? I do not believe in desensitizing horses. Why? Because one, they're naturally sensitive creatures, but two, to desensitize oftentimes means to make them realize those things mean nothing. Okay? And we have to understand what that means. That means that if we desensitize our horses to such a degree, they become non-responsive to whatever it is. But it's not oftentimes that simple. It's not like you can desensitize your horse to a tarp and then they are forever just only desensitized to the tarp, right? Oftentimes this bleeds over into other areas of working with our horses. And so this really is a mindset thing, like a lot of things that we've talked about today. And when I think about desensitizing my horses, I don't think about desensitizing. I think about building my horse's confidence. I think about giving my horses different types of experiences with different things that will build their confidence and their understanding in the things that they already know. Okay. So if I'm going to introduce a tarp to my horse, the only new thing I'm introducing is the tarp itself, but everything else I'm asking my horse to do is what they already know. So it might be groundwork, right? So I might be sending my horse past the tarp on the ground. Well, the new thing that they're being exposed to is the tarp, but all I'm doing is my groundwork. Okay. And we go back to the whole spooky thing. They may or may not be concerned about it. I'm not going to give them any concern to be about it, but I'm going to understand if they are concerned about it. And I'm not there to desensitize my horse to the tarp. I'm there to give my horse experience with the tarp, with the jump, with the bridge, with the creek, with the Liverpool, with whatever type of object, right? But I am not desensitizing my horses, because this is what happens. And I've had numerous horses sent to me that have had way, way too much desensitizing work. They become dull. They become lethargic. They lack a lot of forward. Okay. And then it takes more to build that sensitivity back into them, because we got to get them to move their feet. Right. And what ends up happening is a lot of times we desensitize horses. We do it when they're standing still. And so we can throw pool noodles on them, and we can throw tarps on them. We can saddle them. We can throw ropes around them. We can do flags and balloons and teddy bears and all sorts of stuff. Right. And it all looks great. And sometimes we'll do it at the walk. But very, 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 very few people do it at the trot and the canter with their horses, which would require to maintain forward movement. A lot of times these things happen when the horse is just hanging out at a standstill and sometimes a walk. And these horses lack forward. They lack sensitivity. They lack impulsion. They lack all the basic things we need to do to get them started on the ground and under saddle, which is, the rhythm, the impulsion, the relaxation. They might be relaxed, but they don't have any impulsion in behind, and they're not super responsive because they've been so dulled up to all these other things. So they've been told nothing means anything and you don't have to do anything. And then we step in and we say, now we're going to do groundwork and you have to move your feet. And oh, by the way, when you feel something on your side, which is called my leg, or when I bump you on the ground with the side of the stirrup, you need to move away from that. But they've had so many experiences with things flapping around on them that they're like, well, I don't have to do anything. Like, that doesn't mean anything. And it's so important that we have a proper approach to giving our horses experience. I'm not opposed to giving your horse all the experiences with all those little objects that I just mentioned, but we have to make sure that our horses maintain the sensitivity to what is important. And when we go to desensitize our horses, we just dull their entire world up a lot of times. And then what ends up happening is those horses get so dull and lethargic that when we do need to really get them forward, you start dealing with horses that suck back, horses that get tight in the back, horses that might buck, rear, kick out, all of these things. Or you actually, like I had a horse in, and this horse taught me a lot. He was so stimulated. He was so used to being messed with, in a desensitizing format, that he couldn't focus because he was always into everything, because they were always like bringing stuff out for him to mess with, and like they were messing with him, and he was always into stuff. And then when I got him to start him, I couldn't keep him focused long enough to get a saddle on him because he was like rummaging around and all of these types of things. And so the horse had trouble being mentally present in that moment. And that horse had a lot. We had a lot of mental stuff to go through. He was a very, 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 very FEI level horse, but the over desensitizing, the overstimulation of human interaction at such a young age impeded him when it came time to then be started to have more of a curriculum, because he was going into a dressage program.